Hello to all. I have another channeled message here that I would like to share and give a gem to those I feel really need to hear a message similar to my experience. So, starting off, I know that a lot of significant things have been happening around the last full moon, which was in Aquarius. So, a lot of purging, releasing, emotionally, a lot of things coming to the surface. And I want to share my experience from what happened on the 19th. So I was traveling home from visiting family, and I was taking a connecting train. So I was leaving one train and I fell down the stairs. And there was obviously someone who was behind me, and they were a witness, and they called the officials, and the officials called the station police to get a report. They called EMS in case I needed to be, sent away in an ambulance. They called the Red Cap service to help, get my bags, get myself some ice. In the meantime, while I was waiting, and long story short, I was like, well, I know what's wrong with me. I don't feel like I need to be, carried away in a stretcher. I just need some ice right now. I had a previous injury on this elbow before, so that's what I'm really concerned about. So they're like, okay, well, they're still on the way in case you want to get medically checked out. And I was like, no, it's fine. And I still, waited and talked to a bunch of people. And long story short, I even shook the EMS attendant, uh, whatever the title is. I shook their hand and I was like, no, it's okay, I'm alright. And long story short, I ended up fracturing a rib, and that is what I'm currently healing from. But I want to share the gem of self advocacy, because oftentimes, if you have triggers or mental blockages or traumatic things that cause your mind to be programmed in a certain way, for example, someone who has CPTSD is not going to be able to feel like they can trust people, that they can have relationships that are deep and meaningful, or lasting relationships in general. So, what happens, and this is from my experience, is people like that will lie to get their needs met, or they will make things that are actually big deals into smaller or more bite sized versions of the truth, which is just leaving out the whole truth, I want to add. Um, but in general, they will not get their needs met and they will suffer in silence, which leads to um, a very slippery slope. And basically, you are not human after that point. So, what I had to do was I had to work through the triggers and the mental programming of don't advocate for yourself because they're not going to understand you. Don't advocate for yourself. Don't ask for help because it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be dramatic. It's going to take a long time. You might miss your train. You might have to pay some wild, outlandish medical bill, and all these things that were just swirling around in my head. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm gonna rest, I'm gonna ice this injury. I know it's a full moon, there's a lot of things stirring within me, so I had to just sit with myself and calm down the stirring and the energy. And I was just watching people, in the train station. I was sitting in the Red Cap lounge while I was waiting for my connecting train. And then I was just more comfortable. I slowed down and I was icing. They gave me a really big bag of ice, by the way. They filled like a clear trash bag and just filled it up with like the size of this basket, basically filled with ice. I was just sitting carrying this huge bag of ice after being, dropped off and escorted into this lounge area. And I was icing my elbows, my knee, my shin, my rib. My whole right side was red over here. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is, crazy. Just like thinking about what had happened because it was my fault. I fell, I injured myself, I wasn't being aware um, or careful with the bags that I had. They were heavier. Um, so yeah, it was like a very interesting experience for me to have to advocate for someone to help me to go somewhere. Like, hey, I need to use the bathroom before I board the next train, and then there was another part where I had to advocate for myself, and they asked, do you need a wheelchair? And I had to advocate yes. And there was another part where I had to advocate, hey, I need help just getting onto the train. So they had to, obviously they helped me. There was no resistance at all. I want to say shout out to Kevin from the Red Cap Services who helped me a lot. Very calm, very gentle with me. And you know what? I believe it is because that was my energy, that was my reflection. When I calmed myself down and when I sat and assessed the actual pain levels, because I had turned away the emergency medical services after doing the police report, I shook their hand, was like, I know what's wrong with me. I'm fine. I need to go on the next train and go home. I have someone who can take care of me, and I told my family that I was visiting from. I was like, hey, I made it home, but, this happened, so I'm really gonna have to rely on my roommate. So all of those times I had to tell people what was wrong. I had to tell people, hey, I need help. I had to tell people, hey, this is what's going on with me right now. Can you assist me more? And I want to share this gem of self advocacy because oftentimes, if someone has been through really deep, triggering events in their life, they're not going to um, they're not going to want to keep getting shut down. They're not going to want to keep getting turned away. They're not going to want to keep repressing certain emotions or certain desires. At a certain point, they're going to have these experiences create a programming in their brain to go from I'm understood, I'm seen, I'm loved, and I'm cared for by my community and those in my environment to becoming, if you have CPTSD, right? Someone who feels like they have to lie to get their needs met or only share partial, uh, like, perceptions. Like, it's a big thing about perceptions, how people perceive you, how people see you, right? Are you sharing things out of the darkness or the light in your internal system, right? And I firmly believe that when you go within and you assess your needs for yourself and you accept, just radically accept where you are, then you will be able to advocate for yourself. Then you will be able to trust others. Then you will be able to, if not trust others, be confident enough to say, hey, these are my needs. Hey, I need help. Hey, I don't understand what's going on. For example, I had to have a phone call to figure out some things with health insurance and plans and premiums and all those things, and I wasn't aware of when certain services were terminated or extended. So I had to, go online, do research, and just constantly push through and, um, taking suggestions from family, taking advice, asking for, financial help when that was a thing I was ashamed of in the past, you know? And having to ask my roommate, whom, you know, they have their own life, they have their own needs, they have their own schedule. I had to constantly ask them for things. Even in the midst of arguing or disagreeing on stuff, I still need to be cared for. I still need to have help, you know, going grocery shopping, taking a walk outside, even. Like, I had to hold on to them and they were holding on to me side by side walking. And, you know, it is because of advocacy, it is because of the internal understanding of myself, it is because I have done the work through journaling, through self-help books, or, you know, spiritual explanations. This is a great book, The Four Agreements. If you have not checked it out, I highly recommend it. And personally, stress management uh, skills, workbooks, interpersonal skills. Again, this one is for stress management. This has helped me out a lot. Workbooks, you know, being able to go through and really express some of the things that maybe you didn't understand. Maybe you didn't even know was really the root of the issue. But when you get to a point of being fed up with your environment, or get to a point of being so, like being redirected so many times, you're like, oh, just stop it. I need to really get to the root of what's going on. I need help. You know, sometimes that's all you really need to do, you know? So I highly, highly, highly encourage you to advocate for yourself as an act of self love, as an act of self compassion. And I would like to just pull some cards on this because I feel called to do so. And on the top of the deck, it says use your intuition discernment. But I would just cut 3 times and see. So, temple worship right there. Perfect example. Do I love my body? Do I appreciate it enough to advocate for myself? Am I taking care of it? Am I worshiping my temple? Perfect example right there. And another, vision or visualize. So, if you are struggling with the self-love, maybe having a vision, having a concept of what advocating for yourself even looks like, right? What's the first step? What's your um, end goal where you want to get to feeling like you can have that vision, you can have a bright future ahead? And body change or transformation. Again, right now my body is changing and transforming to heal itself. So maybe some of you can be going through a body change or transformation, and it is helping you be able to advocate for yourself more. So, and luck. So maybe if you do some of these things, you will get luck. And draw one more here. Is a blessing in disguise. Maybe that was just for me. Maybe that's for you too. However it fits, however it resonates. Sometimes things are a blessing in disguise. Sometimes things really just help you go within or slow down or be able to reassess where you are in life. And underneath that, free spirit nomad and roamer wandering. So, you know, just be free with yourself. Take a wander, take a trip, maybe down memory lane, maybe look at some of the things, you know, journaling, going through processing triggers, traumas, certain events that might have happened for you. And I just want to cut it one more time. And it says, made in the image of God. And I view God as the spirit of love. And I want to close this message by saying that